Good morning, dear hearts. We are on lesson 19. Please subscribe. Today's lesson, obvious, very obvious continuation from yesterday. Today, I'm not alone at experiencing the effects of my thoughts. Yesterday, I'm not alone at experiencing the effects of my seeing. And what we'll see, what I'll talk about, is that some of these ideas that are in this lesson, I've already given. I guess they were spoiler alerts, but I didn't identify them that way. So today, the idea for today is obviously the reason why your seeing does not affect you alone. You will notice that at times the ideas related to thinking precede those related to perceiving. And notice it's not using the word vision, while at other times the order is reversed. Now, what I said yesterday was that the thought and the seeing happen like that, so quickly, so simultaneously, as this lesson will tell us, that the most trained surgeon with the best scalpel or laser would not be able to definitively separate where one began, when one ended, the other begins. So, but what this lesson is going to tell us is that the reason is that the order does not really matter. It does not really matter because it happens so quickly. So one right after the other. And the reason it happens that way is because cause and effect are never separated. Cause and effect always happen together. Remember, God is our cause. We are the effect, and we are never separated from our cause. So today we are again emphasizing the fact that minds are joined, okay? And by the way, it was in lesson 17 that we were told that the thought comes first. And that still actually is true. The thought still does come first, but because the thought and the seeing, the effect of it happens so quickly that it doesn't really matter at this moment anyway. Let's just say that. So today we're emphasizing the fact that minds are joined, which is not always a happy thought. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. I'm going to give you a reason why we can agree that minds being joined is not a terrible thing. And for that, I'm going to lesson 5 for one of my favorite quotes. It's right at the beginning of chapter 5. I said lesson 5, I meant chapter 5. And it says that you are being blessed by every beneficent thought of any of your brothers anywhere. So back to the idea that I know I mentioned yesterday of the pebble in the pond. So the beneficent thought, the lovely thought, the kind, happy thought of any of our brothers, any part of the sonship anywhere, drops that thought, that beneficent thought into this beautiful pond, and it reverberates, and we will be blessed by that. And of course, because this is a world of duality that we're in, the opposite is true. So we are being blessed by every beneficent thought, but we will also feel the effects of every unkind, unloving thought. But we will change that. Okay, this is rarely a wholly welcome idea at first, that minds are joined, since it seems to carry with it the enormous sense of responsibility and may even be regarded as an invasion of privacy. I don't want everyone to know what I'm thinking, right? You know, there's been cartoons and movies about, you know, someone who hears other people's thoughts. They're not liking it. And when the other people find out that their thoughts are being heard by someone else, they don't like it either. Invasion of privacy. Yet it is a fact that there are no private thoughts. Despite your initial resistance to this idea, you will yet understand that it must be true if salvation is possible at all, if freedom is possible at all. And it must be possible because it's the will of God. And I don't know that we have had that thought yet this year about the will of God, but there will be a lot more, let me tell you. So here we are, we understand that we are truly of one mind, and as I said last year, and one heart. And thank you, Bob Marley, and he's got a movie coming out. One mind, we are of one mind, and that is really ultimately good news. We are the sonship. And again, we're being blessed by the beneficent thoughts, which would not happen if there was not one mind. These lessons build one on the other on the other. They are laying for us a beautiful foundation, not only for our spiritual tapestry, but indeed for our spiritual growth. And that is something that we will come to appreciate if we do not appreciate it at this moment. So now the lesson is going to talk about our practicing. And today the practicing is with eyes closed. And again, we're going to be closing our eyes on this world, but we're going to let ideas from this world come to us. Okay, so the idea for today will be repeated first. I'm not alone at experiencing the effects of my thoughts. And then I lose my place, sorry. I repeat it first, and then the mind should be carefully searched for the thoughts that it contains at that time. Remember, there's 62,000 of them. Some of them are going to happen. Some of them are going to come forth, some quicker than others. But there will not be a moment when something does not occur. As you consider each one, name it in terms of the central person or the theme it contains, and holding it in your mind, as you do so, say, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of this thought about. And then you fill in the blank. And it can be a person, it can be a place, it can be an illness, it can be the idea of death, it can be the idea of war, it can be the idea of peace. It doesn't matter, but we know and these are broad topics, mostly. We know that we're not alone in experiencing the effects of thinking that thing. Again, that drops into the pond also. That pebble thought drops into the pond. And the thoughts that we have about illness and death and war and peace, they go into that. And they reach out to places that we have no way to know how far they will go, how far you will go, Dr. Seuss. Okay, so the requirement of this idea, again, to be indiscriminate, just as much as possible, just let whatever comes to us. Do not forget, however, that random selection of subjects for all practice periods remain essential throughout. It's always just a random, not to include or exclude specifically. Lack of order in this connection will ultimately make the recognition of lack of order in miracles meaningful to you. If you have not yet dipped into the text, you will. But the beginning of the text are the 50 principles of miracles and more in the Circle of Atonement edition. But the very first one is always, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal, and miracles are expressions of love. And that's number 35 principle. So again, we use this thought as needed throughout the day as well. But this idea, and I didn't speak of it yesterday, and I have usually every year, this idea about minds being joined and that the effects of our thoughts. And there is something that happens in nature that we can all witness and probably have been witness to. And it is called murmuration. And it's specifically usually to starlings. However, other birds do it as well. And you'll sit there and you'll see a flock of birds, perhaps all sitting on the wires, telephone wires, whatever they are these days. And then all of a sudden they take off, and they all take off in the same direction, and then they all turn in the same direction at the same time. There is one mind, one thought that is guiding them. And that is really how we want to be. We want to be guided by one thought. But for us, the separated ones, we want that one thought that guides us to be one of peace. So that's what we will work on today. We will think about today and know that we're not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts, our thoughts about peace. That's it for today. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment, please smile, and please breathe and release everything that isn't of peace and love and kindness and joy, because none of those thoughts are really who you are. And pray for the recognition of all of the gifts that we are being offered every moment of every day. Namaste.